Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Vibing with Sleezy, the podcast. This is season 4, episode 18, and this is part 2 of a two-part episode. Yes, I'm doing a solo episode again. It's a two-parter. If you haven't listened to part 1, episode 17, you need to go back and listen before you listen to this. It is an actual AFC preview because I'm doing the Vibing with Sleazy, the podcast 2023-2024 NFL preview. I'm breaking down all the teams, the divisions, and I'm telling you who I think is going to win the Super Bowl, some of the new picks, new additions, and just a little bit of info and insight for the NFL season. I've been wanting to do this. I did this with the Qatar World Cup preview, which did really well, especially worldwide. So I'm really excited to do this football preview. I'm a big fantasy football fan. I'm a Cincinnati Bengals fan. So I'm going to be on this episode for part 2, breaking down the NFC conference. That's the other conference besides the AFC. And I'm going to be telling you who I think comes out in the NFC. And if you listen to part 1, you'll get to hear all the teams broken down and all the info there. I did say the Cincinnati Bengals will win the AFC conference, so they will be taking on whoever I pick here in the NFC. I do think the Cincinnati Bengals will win the Super Bowl. That is my official pick. I'm all in this year on them, but I'm going to break down the NFC and see who's making them, a little run for their money. And and I also think with the NFC is going to be tough. I think there's going to be a lot of fun going in here. And like I said, I'm really excited for this. So this is part 2, episode 18. So the first division I'm going to break down in the NFC is going to be the NFC East. And that consists of the Philadelphia Eagles, the New York Giants, the Dallas Cowboys, and the Washington Commanders. I think this division is another weak one. I don't think they're very strong. Yes, the Philadelphia Eagles made it to the Super Bowl. They lost to the Chiefs last year, and they just signed Jalen Hurts to the biggest NFL contract ever. He is an amazing quarterback in talent, very well deserved. But I just don't see tons of talent coming out of here. A lot of money's been spent in this division, especially last year in this offseason. But I don't see a lot of big names coming out of here besides the Philadelphia Eagles. Last place that's going to finish in this division will be the Washington Commanders. They're just not good. They lost a quarterback to Atlanta. They don't have a lot of key pieces. Defensive players are coming back from injuries. I'm just not all in on them. And Ron Rivera, I'm just not sold anymore. So Washington Commanders, they're going to finish fourth, just and clearly not going to make the playoffs. Third place will be the Dallas Cowboys, the America's team. They will not be good. The Dallas Cowboys. The reason I say that, they're already switching up a running back. Mike McCarthy. The thing about it that's so funny is he he's not a bad coach. He's won a Super Bowl, and he actually, if you look at his record compared to Sean Payton's, they're pretty much the same on paper. I mean, him and Sean Payton are the same. Sean Payton just gets all this hype. So I think Mike McCarthy knows what he's doing. I think he finally has the offense that he's wanted in Dallas, but they don't have it. And Diggs is overrated and defensively. He allows a lot of touchdowns, a lot of balls over his head. He is talented, but I just don't see Dallas really making a run or going far in this division. And I'm sorry, Cowboys fans, they will not make the playoffs. Um, Daniel Jones is the big talk of the town. Signed a huge contract in the offseason. Um, Daniel Jones is the quarterback for the future for the New York Giants. Do I think the Giants will be good? Yes. Do I think they're coached well? Hell yeah. Do I think they made a lot of smart decisions and they're really trying to build the future? Yes. Now, do people hate Daniel Jones and think that he's overhyped and he's not going to be, what this franchise really believes him to do? That's up to them. But I think with having Daniel Jones, you got Barkley, and then even having Jamison Crowder, who is a really good wide receiver. He always kind of fell off the radar for that weak New York Giants offense, but He's incredible, and I'm really excited to see what he can do in that offense. But Giants, I just I think they're that sneaky team that can make the playoffs. I really do, but they will not win this division. The division will be won by the Philadelphia Eagles, the reigning conference champs of the NFC. Jalen Hurts is one of the best quarterbacks in all of NFL, signed a huge contract, like I said. I think the biggest thing they did was bring in Swift from the Lions over. Huge. If he can stay healthy and focused, he's going to tear up for Philadelphia. And that division just, you can really turn up offensively. And then AJ Brown, I mean, oh my gosh, can you think of a freak athlete like him? I mean, the dude is one of the best wide receivers in all of football. They got a squad, and they're going to be tough. They're back. They're winning it. They're in the playoffs. So the Eagles will make a far run. Now let's move on to the NFC West. This actually will be, I think, compared to the looking at the Jags through Colts division, which I think is going to be the weakest, that AFC South. I think the NFC West is going to be really weak too. I don't see a lot of, you know, ugh, just a lot of good coming out of it. But let's start last. Well, let's name off the teams first. So Seattle Seahawks, the San Francisco 49ers, the Los Angeles Rams, and the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals will be last place. They are awful. They will be actually, in my opinion, I'm saying this now, will be the worst team in all of NFL football. They will not do well. They actually will be worse than the Colts, which is shocking. Um, I just don't see them doing a lot on offense. There's been too many moves, coach change, GM's not great there, and it's just a lot of youth. And I'm just not excited to see this team. Fourth place in that division. The LA Rams, they'll be third place. I still think Matthew Stafford is a Hall of Famer. He's a former Super Bowl quarterback. He knows what he's doing, but the Rams are still it's just not there. I'm shocked McVay's even back. I'm shocked with a lot of moves they did. Cooper Cup's got to be healthy. There's a lot, Von Jefferson, but somebody to look for on the Rams is Puka. He is the rookie out of BYU playing wide receiver. He'll be huge. He's already played on like three series. Like, he's played for every team on offense, like their third string, their second string, first string. He's huge. Stafford loves him. Jefferson, who signed a contract with the Rams, he loves him. So he's already learned the playbook. So it seems like people will really pick it up in LA, especially under McVay. So did Tutu Atwell out of Louisville last year. He was a big piece. I think he'll be big this year. So I think the Rams, they'll be third. I still think their division, there's just a couple teams better than them, but I still think, you know, they just they just won't be there this year. San Francisco 49ers, they will be second place. I think they do make the playoffs. I do think that they will be tough, and I think they'll be relevant. But I think the quarterback question is a big thing. Brock Purdy took off. Now you got Trey Lance coming back, and it's just there's a lot of question there. But Christian McCaffrey being there, that's a big win. That guy turns around your whole offense. So does Debo Samuels, and to have Christian McCaffrey and Debo Samuels on the same team, it doesn't get much luckier on offense than that. That is incredible. But I think the first place team that comes out is the very well coached Pete Carroll team of the Seattle Seahawks. Geno Smith just signed a big contract. Actually, Drew Lock signed also to be the backup again. I think Geno Smith knows what he's doing. He's a winner. He really turned it up last year. And I thought Seattle actually was going to make a further run in the playoffs. So I like seeing the Seahawks in the playoffs this year. I think they're going to do well. I think so far we've already kind of figured out who playoff wise, Eagles, Giants, Seahawks, 49ers. I think that's our first four. Eagles, Seahawks will be guaranteed in. But let's keep moving on to figure out who else. But that's kind of how the NFC West is going to play out. The NFC North. Woo. Man, I mean, actually, now I kind of think about it, this is probably one of the shittiest divisions. This can be a horrible division, talent wise. I mean, the Green Bay Packers, Minnesota Vikings, Chicago Bears, Detroit Lions. All four teams have been really trying to build and be relevant, and nobody's really done it. All four teams kind of been bad recently here. So I still think the AFC South's weak. I think the NFC West, I thought for a minute was the worst one, but I'm thinking the NFC North is the worst NFC division, and it's kind of similar to AFC South. It's just these four teams are just not a lot of excitement. Now there's youth, but the one team that is exciting out of this division, and I'm actually going to say this, I think they can make the Super Bowl, and I think they'll shock not only this division but the world. Is the Detroit Lions. I think they are the first place team on this division. I think they end up going to the Super Bowl to take on the Bengals. I think it's a Cincinnati Detroit Super Bowl. I think they lose. I don't think they can beat the Bengals, but I think what they're doing in Detroit, what the whole grit mentality and the pieces, and Jared Goff already having Super Bowl experience. I think Detroit wins this division, makes a run in the playoffs, is a hot team, and they go to the Super Bowl. That's my call. So we shall see. I think they can do it, but let's break down this division. The fourth place team will be the Green Bay Packers. Jordan Love is the new quarterback now that Aaron Rodgers is out. Green Bay has not done shit this offseason. It has been so slow for them. So total rebuild, very disappointing, and I do not see them being relevant at all. I don't even want to watch them, to be honest. I don't even really know somebody really key fantasy wise. It's just not. I wish Jordan Love the best because the guy's been a trooper, but yeah, they won't be good. Third place will be the Minnesota Vikings. They'll be okay, but it's like basically the same team. I mean, they got the weapon. You know, Justin Jefferson is a freak, one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. He needs to get out of Minnesota. You know, they just it's just not a team that just I'm hyped for, and I don't see them making the playoffs. I think the Lions are the only ones to make it out of this division. The Chicago Bears, second place. I think the Chicago Bears are actually going to be amazing because of Justin Fields. And I think that's the only reason why. Justin Fields is an amazing quarterback, one of the best runners I've ever seen. And he just changes the whole offense. You really have to change your whole defensive plan for one guy. And when you have somebody like that, similar to like Lamar, Michael Vick, it's hard and you're not used to it. So Justin Fields, I think he'll be relevant. I think he'll be good in this division to get them to second place, but they'll be a 500 team. And like I said, the Detroit Lions, they'll be first place. Tough, grit, Marvin Jones Jr. in the house. Amar St. Brown, unbelievable. Rookie they picked up out of Georgia. Defensive pieces they picked up. They really try to go in and focus on the key people. Jared Goff's going to do great. And Dan Campbell, DC, he's just a player's coach, a person coach, and he's the truth. So I see the Lions doing well and making that run. Now let's focus on the NFC South. This has been seems like a division that was run by a lot of older players like Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Matt Ryan, even Cam Newton there towards the end with the Panthers. But the four teams in this division are the Carolina Panthers, the Atlanta Falcons, the New Orleans Saints, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I think the way this division plays out, the fourth place team is going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield is a great quarterback. I know he gets tons of hate. He's just not a great teammate. It seems like but I don't see him turning around in Tampa. Mike Evans is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, but he can't do it all, and he can't throw the ball to himself. Baker's really going to have to step it up, and Baker's also like any of these quarterbacks in this division has to realize there's opportunity, and they have to take advantage of it. But they'll be fourth. The third place team will be the New Orleans Saints. I think they are well coached. I think that they do have Cameron Jordan on defense, who's a veteran player. But and they got Alvin Kamara. But I just think, you know, offensively, they just don't thrill me. Now, what is shocking to me about, just thinking about the Saints team is that, a lot of players on this team have been around for so long. And, Michael Thomas, for example, it just shocks me that he is, still on this team. But the two people that are going to be something, and I think you give it a year down there in New Orleans, I see them changing up, making a run. But with Derek Carr, who is a hell of a quarterback, and Jamal Williams out of Detroit, who had the NFL touchdown leader last year in rushing. He's awesome. He's a great player for the team. If you watched Hard Knocks last year, Detroit, you fell in love with him. I think Jamal Williams makes another huge thing, and he's big in New Orleans. And I think Derek Carr is too. I just think in this division, it's so weird this year. And I think for some reason, Atlanta gets over that hump over New Orleans. But that New Orleans Atlanta here with the third and second, I am torn on that. But I'm doing Atlanta Falcons second. The Atlanta Falcons are young. They got Taylor Heineke in at backup. They got Desmond Ritter, the quarterback that came out of the Cincinnati University, the Bearcats. There, he's good at quarterback. They also signed some good players there on offense, but the big key player is Jesse Bates from the Bengals there on defense. I think he's going to change that secondary in Atlanta, and I think Atlanta is really going to be playing tough and hard. And I think with this division being not as stacked talent wise, they can be relevant. And then also running wise last year, especially for fantasy, a lot of those Atlanta backs were good pickups, good people to use. But I think the first team is going to be that Frank Reich, Carolina Panthers. He's the new coach in there, the former Indianapolis coach. He's a hell of a coach. Coached up there in Philly during their, you know, original Super Bowl run, and I think it's a case where uh, he's going to really change it up there. I think Carolina has a lot of key players. I think a lot of people want to play there. And I think, too, with Carolina, it's a case where I just see them also, just having some wild games, and of course Andy Dalton signed there. I think he comes in and does a couple things, maybe backup wise, where they need, key piece. But the biggest thing that's going to be the identity for this team and their future is Bryce Young, the rookie out of Alabama. I think he's going to be huge for Carolina, and I think he might end up turning out to be a pretty good NFL quarterback. And I think it'll be fun to see him under that Frank Wright offense, and then him having DJ Shark. DJ Shark, if he stays healthy, he's a huge long weapon at wide receiver, and I think he'll be big for the Carolina offense. So I see the Panthers winning the division. It'll be a tough lock division. I think this division, like most years of recent past, comes down to of who kind of wins towards the end. And I think the Panthers pull out there on top. I think the Detroit Lions actually end up, like I said, they make it to the final and end up winning the conference championship. But I think the 7 teams that are going to come out of this division, or excuse me, this conference, out of these divisions are the Philadelphia Eagles, the New York Giants, the Seattle Seahawks, the Detroit Lions, the San Francisco 49ers, I think the Carolina Panthers, and I think the Atlanta Falcons. And I think it comes down to the Saints or Falcons, whoever can finish with that 7th place team. And I think with the NFC as well, there's not going to be a true pick winner. Like you're not going to have a true winner that you can just pick in your head. I think it's going to come down to who plays the toughest. The Eagles definitely right now sound like, oh, they got an easy run. I think they're going to have a lot of competition here in this NFC, especially in the playoffs. But with the AFC, I think it's back to the Bengals Chiefs matchup and the Bengals pulling it off to the end. So Bengals, Cincinnati Bengals, Detroit Lions, Super Bowl. That is my pick for the 2023-2024 year. The Cincinnati Bengals winning with Joe Burrow MVP. That is my pick for the whole entire NFL year. I think before I wrap up, I also want to talk like player award wise. I think the way the awards will play out this year, I think MVP wise is Joe Burrow overall for the NFL. I think the overall offensive player of the year for the AFC, I'm going to actually say Trevor Lawrence. I think because if Joe Burrow wins the MVP, they'll give the offensive player to somebody else. I say Trevor Lawrence for the Jags wins that. I think the NFC Offensive Player of the Year will be Jalen Hurts. I think he does really big things. I think defensive wise, I think the defensive player of the NFC, I'm going to give to Jesse Bates. I think he does some big stuff there in Atlanta. I think for the AFC, the defensive player, I'm going to go with this one is a tough one to really, I want to come down to, but I'm actually going to say Watt out of Pittsburgh. I think Watt does some big things, and I think he has a healthy year, and I think he'll be relevant. And then I think the overall, you know, NFL Coach of the Year, I think the coach of the year goes to Pete Carroll. I think he does another, big stuff in Seattle, and he really leads Geno and them. So I think them just making a good playoff run, he gets coach of the year. And I just think overall, it's just going to be a fun NFL season. Rookie wise, I think, offensive rookie, I probably would go with Bryce Young. I think wins it for offensive rookie of the year. I think he is a just overall talent. And I think he's also somebody that just ends up really changing the, I don't know, changing it up like for that team because Carolina's really needed something and they've needed a lot of help. And I think it's a case where um he's going to do it. And I think defensive wise, rookie of the year, I think it goes to Will Anderson for the Texans. The Texans are going to be hard nosed. They're going to play hard football. They're going to be a lot of fun to watch. They won't be great, but Will Anderson Jr. of the Houston Texans will be somebody to watch. Him being an edge rusher is going to be huge. So I think he wins that defensive rookie of the year. So those are my award picks overall. I think overall it's going to be, like I said, a fun year, an exciting year, big offense overall. The NFC will be a lot of fun to watch. So will the AFC, but overall, it's just I'm ready for fantasy. I'm ready for the NFL season, and I'm ready to see what the Cincinnati Bengals can do. I think it's their year, and I'm just excited to see how my predictions play out, and how some of these players I mentioned play out, and see if there's any other moves and coaches and NFL drama. It's just when the season's here, it's here, and it's here for months, and it doesn't get much better than that. So, everybody, thank you for listening, tuning, and downloading. This is part 2 of my 2-part NFL preview for the 2023-2024 year of the NFL. If you haven't listened to part 1, go back and listen to episode 17. You got to have the full completion of this. This is part 2, episode 18. So I want to thank everybody for listening, tuning, and downloading. BibingWithSleazy.com, BibingWithSleazy@gmail.com, BibingWithSleazy, the podcast, Facebook, Instagram. Reach out, show love. Got a few more guests coming, only a few more episodes of season 4. So wanted to get this out a couple months for the NFL season. I can't thank everybody enough, and I hope this helps you with your fantasy and just getting you excited to watch your team and NFL football. And thank you. I love you. Peace.